Hello, everyone. This is Endgame number 11 of the 100 Endgames You Must Know. And today we are covering the knight versus a knight pawn on the 7th rank. So, in the last Endgame, we looked at what happens if there's a pawn on the 7th rank on one of the 4 central squares. But today we're covering a knight pawn on the 7th rank. So, on B2 or G2 or G7 or B7. And we're going to determine when it is a draw and when it is a loss. So let's look at the position. Let's start by looking at this position on the board here. So it's white to move, and after knight d2, the king actually goes to c1. C2 would actually be a crazy blunder because of knight c4 attacking the pawn, and if the pawn pushes, the knight forks. And after king c1 and knight check, king d1, and there is no way for the knight to stop the pawn. If there was an extra file like a z like a z2 z file, then this would be a draw. But because of the fact that it's on the edge of the board, the knight has mobility issues and cannot stop the pawn in this case. Let's look at another example. So does this mean that all endgames with a pawn on the 7th versus a knight is losing? No. In fact, as long as the knight can stand in front of the pawn, it is a draw. So compared to this last position, compared to this one, the knight is already in front of the pawn. The king is still far away, but it is a draw now. For example, no matter where the king goes, the knight can hop around and prevent the king from promoting. Actually, in this case, they have this knight check to end the game immediately. So there really isn't anything black can do. And this position is indeed a draw, as long as the knight can stand in front of the pawn, which in this case it can, and in the previous example, it couldn't. So stay tuned for the next one. The next one we'll be looking at rook pawn on the 7th versus a knight.